If we can, let's hold off on the profit chat until next time. A, because we'll need things to talk about because it's winter in COVID Atlantic City, and B, because I haven't looked at any of that stuff yet. Mostly B. But I'm sure in 2 weeks we will not have anything to talk about. And it's not like anyone's going to be, like, waiting for our hot takes on the profit situation, so...
They're like, we need to hear about the EBITDA.
Howdy, it's Tuesday, December 1st, 2020, and this is episode 138 of Due for a Win, the Atlantic City and Casino Biz podcast. I'm Kyle Askin, joined, as always, by Craig Stone. What's good, Craig?
Update, I don't have COVID, so that's good.
That is very good news.
Or at least I didn't when I got tested like 2 weeks ago. 2 negative tests, though. That means I can go play football.
Certainly that is true, but I don't know how high those standards are.
I can play for the Ravens. They need players, they need bodies. Could have been the quarterback of the Broncos.
We're so confident in our game being played tomorrow. Tomorrow being Wednesday, by the way, that we aren't even bringing our starters, is what I hear.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so I have been quarantined for 3 weeks. I was sleeping on the couch for 10 of those days because my wife did test positive. So it wasn't a fun 3 weeks.
I'm still curious if she actually had it or not. But
same.
That's neither here nor there.
Not one symptom. Anyways, should we talk about 1938?
Yeah, so what happened in 1938?
Something was filmed on the boardwalk. Comedic genius, I think you would agree. The Three Stooges.
That's right.
There was a short video just outside the Steel Pier, I think, on the boardwalk at Atlantic City. Basically, they're sort of hitting on this lovely young lady who is actually a model at the time, Barbara Bradford. Not still a model, it was 1938. What do you want from me?
I'm sure she's not alive now, but...
You don't know. And then some very large man who is... is vaudeville actor George Mann, comes over and intimidates them and then has somebody from the Steel Pier throw them out. So, not an official episode of The Three Stooges, but when you search 1938 Boardwalk, it was everywhere. People very excited about it. And apparently the reason for that is because it's rare color footage of them performing a sketch in character. They were performing at the Steel Pier with George Mann and somebody else. Some dancers, I guess over 4th of July week, and this video was shot at the time. So, good stuff. I'll post a link to the video itself. What did you think? Critics review.
I have to say the action scenes in it were quite bad. Them getting punched in the least convincing way possible. But, I don't know. I have to say, much like we talked about an episode or two ago, I have to say the model was wearing like a somewhat modern looking bathing suit, right?
And that's really what you came for.
So, I guess the times they were a-changing back then. It was still obviously a one piece. I don't think the bikini gets invented until the 50s, but it's not, turn of the century stuff anymore.
I like that I asked for a review and you just really focused on...
Just talk about the bathing suit styles.
The model.
Yeah. She was attractive. What can I say? I have to say, the large man, as you put it, he was quite tall, but also looked like the skinniest person ever, so was not actually terribly intimidating.
I would be shocked if he weighed more than 165 pounds.
Yeah, despite being like 7 feet tall.
Right. Yeah. Much taller than the Three Stooges, though, who I think all of whom very, very short.
Yes.
Hey, you were on a show on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, Thanksgiving Day. I was obviously a very highly, sought after person to be on the Thanksgiving Day show, which everyone knows that's the most important show in the podcasting year, right?
It was like everybody watched the parade, and then they listened to The Better Life.
Yeah, so I got to talk to Tim about, I guess Atlantic City a little bit, my gambling history, but I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good conversation. So
it was nice to hear you talk a lot.
Yeah, it's a change from this show. It's always fun for me to go on other shows because I get to be a bit more like unbuttoned. I'm pretty buttoned up on the show and don't get to talk about as like all the extraneous stuff because we try to keep it pretty streamlined. But it was a good time. I'm glad I was invited on and I enjoyed myself.
I thought it was interesting to hear stuff you've bet on, crazy bets you've been making.
Yeah.
I didn't really know all the detail about your, political bets that we don't need to get into on this show. You can go listen to The Better Life if you want to hear about that.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be profitable for me, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, some of the numbers you talked about, very funny. One thing you said that I hate blackjack.
You are not a blackjack fan. It is. Are you going to dispute this?
No. So Justin W., I guess, heard the episode before I did because he Facebook messaged me saying, I didn't know you hated blackjack. And I didn't know what he's talking about yet. I was like, I don't know that I hate it. So as I thought more about it, the big thing is I like it at $5. I think at $10 or $15, it's just like way too fast for fun it is.
You play craps, right? Which is much faster.
It's more interesting though. There's like so much more going on in craps. The thing with blackjack is once you know basic strategy and you're just playing basic strategy, there's no fun to be had in blackjack. There's only winning and losing. It would be way more fun to just throw the strategy card out the window and say like, I don't know, I think a 5's going to come up on the 16 and hit, even when it's totally ridiculous to do that. But you'll get yelled at the table if you do that.
Let me just to play devil's advocate. I don't actually believe in this, but what's the difference between making a pass line bet and throwing the dice and just hitting on your 15 or whatever?
Like what makes it more fun?
Yeah.
There's so many other things going on. I mean, it's more tactile for one thing. Like that to me is the most fun thing about Pai Gow tiles.
That is true.
Is like how tactile a game it is. Blackjack, you can't touch the cards. You gotta do some fancy sign language or else you get yelled at.
Though again, I will say it's only tactile like 1/12 of the time when you're actually throwing the dice. The other 12 out of 12 times someone else is throwing the dice.
Yeah, so, I mean, another thing, most of the time when you're at the craps table, people are like rooting for each other, and it's very lively and happy if it's going well. And even when it's going poorly, it's pretty rare that someone's like, why'd you do that? Like, why'd you 7 out? You ass? I think I've only been at one table where somebody's done that. Where somebody seemed like legitimately mad at the shooter when they 7'd out, and it just seemed totally ridiculous. Blackjack, everybody's looking for a reason to be annoyed at everyone else at the table.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly which friend it was. It may have been our friend Chris, but he like rolled the dice off the table or whatever in the middle of a point, and they passed him the other 4 dice, I guess, because one went off the table and one stayed on. But he just picked up 2 dice at random and threw them, and I guess the dice he had picked up out of the pile were set at 7 or whatever when they passed it to him, and someone went like ballistic at the table because he 7'd out, and they were not very happy. So
yeah, I guess I'm overlooking a lot of craft superstition. A lot of craft superstition.
Like, this person went, like, off the deep end, and, like, the dealers had to tell him to, like, calm down, and, I mean, which, of course, it's ridiculous. It doesn't matter. Right. But let me tell you, he was not a happy man.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely looking at the bright side of craft's sort of co-op play, and not the downside that you certainly get with people, getting mad about bouncing the dice off of the bouncy ass tables at Borgata, right. Or like, the dealers being annoyed.
I've certainly felt
it in the middle of rolls.
People's rage directed at me silently when, you like roll the dice and 7 out because you like knock over someone's chip pile or whatever. Yeah. It's like, what do you want me to do, man? Like, sometimes they bounce funny. I wasn't aiming for it.
Yeah, that's true. Other gamblers are just generally bad.
Oh,
that's why I just play video poker.
Gamblers are quite unpleasant. Yeah,
that's because you avoid the other gamblers. I'd rather have some old dude smoking literally right into my face at Caesars at the full pay video poker machines right by the waitress station.
Yeah,
than be sitting at a blackjack table next to other people who are getting mad about like you're not supposed to split those 2s against a 12 or whatever, which I can't even remember. There was a time I had it all down cold. I'm pretty sure that's right, but whatever.
Yeah,
I haven't played blackjack in a very long time.
You are supposed to split 2s against 12. So, yes.
All right.
At least that's what my shaky memory of basic strategy says. But
Craig hates blackjack confirmed.
By the way, I do agree with you that even though you're making less decisions in craps, I do think it's a more fun game too. So I can't tell you why. I was just playing devil's advocate.
I'll say though, $5 blackjack very fun. Like if you go downtown Vegas and play some cheap blackjack, extremely fun. The higher limits though, I'm getting stressed just thinking about it. Not for me. Maybe gambling just isn't for me. Maybe that's
like blackjack is not a fast game. Like I don't.
Well, are you crazy? Blackjack is way too fast.
I'm like get annoyed when I'm playing blackjack if it's like me and the dealer. I'm like, yeah, this is great, and then someone sits down. And I'm like, oh my god, the game's gonna be like 5 times slower now.
Remember the dealer we had at Hard Rock Vegas, who was like the fastest dealer in the world?
The like nice Eastern European lady.
Yeah, who was just like totally.
Oh, she was fantastic. Fantastic in every way, I would say.
That was the fastest dealer I've ever had in any game in my life. It was unbelievable, and she was talking like conversational the entire time. It's like I don't understand how you're doing the math.
She was
talking while
superb. I mean,
you were a fan.
Yes, she was also very attractive, but it's neither here nor there.
Let's see what else we can get Kyle to talk about attractive people in the rest of this episode.
Yeah, 2 for 2.
I don't think we have any other stuff like that in the podcast.
So, have you gone back on Frank Morano's show?
I have not. I have a correction to make, which is that I foolishly said 9:70 a.m. in New York, which is what he used to be on. He's not on that anymore. He is on WABC 770. The show is now the other side of midnight, so I am a terrible pitchman. But the good news is WABC has a signal range that can be heard in 26 states at night. There's something about AM signals. They can be heard further at night. So you have no excuse not to listen when I go on again, which will probably be before this episode comes out. So I'm really cementing myself as the world's worst pitchman for radio.
So what are you going on?
I think...
Just for only me to know and not our listeners.
For you to know, you can probably hear it in Maryland. Thursday, 3:30 in the morning.
Good.
This Thursday, whatever date that is, December...
Let me tell you...
3rd.
What I will not be setting my alarm for.
But anyways, yes, everyone should retroactively go back in time and listen to that episode. It will, I'm sure, go up later in that day as a downloadable episode, and I will link to it when that happens.
So Philadelphia closed their casinos on November 20th because of COVID. This only affects Rivers Casino because all the other casinos in Pennsylvania are outside of Philly. I guess so. Harrah's technically, like Chester, I guess, is outside of Philly, even though it's really not.
Yeah, it is outside of Philly. So it's Harrah's, Philadelphia, but it's actually in Chester.
I mean, I've never been there, but I've driven by it, and I wouldn't say that it's outside of Philly, but
you were
sure.
Right by it on the train.
That's fine.
Yeah, so it's funny because the announcement came out like Philadelphia closing casinos. And then I was looking more into it, and it's like casinos plural is a little bit misleading because it really only seems to be the Rivers Casino. That announcement came out like 2 days after we had our bet last episode about will AC casinos close again. And that was not a good sign for me, who said no, they won't. What do you think? Update? Think it's coming to AC?
I mean, I hope so, given our large wager.
Hope Atlantic City casinos close so you can win $5.
That's right.
Ice cold.
I mean, what do you expect me to do?
Once the bet's on the table.
More about Atlantic City, and not to mention our podcast, than my $5 bill.
A nice crisp $5 bill that you'll never actually get. It will just go onto the ledger until our bets. Of some bet just to be like crossed out with a strike through when some other bet counteracts it.
So realistically, it could. We'll have to see. I mean, I think we're going to start to get post-Thanksgiving data. In another week or two, we'll have a lot more information. I doubt it closes down much before Christmas if it were to, but I think it's more unlikely than likely, given how important casinos are to Atlantic City. I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say, like here in Maryland, they close back down, though maybe that's even slightly less likely just because we have a Republican mayor governor who's trying to keep as many things open as possible. I don't know. I don't think so. I would guess no.
I would still be very surprised if they closed, but I think what I could see happening maybe is in the worst case, hopefully this is the worst case, if there's a big spike after Thanksgiving, so like 2 weeks from now you see a bunch of new cases popping up, and then they decide to close everything for 2 weeks leading right up to Christmas, and then they like reopen. I don't know. It seems insane to reopen for New Year's because that's the dumbest thing. It would be like so ridiculously like encouraging bad behavior, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe like reopening right after New Year's or something, which the casinos would just be rabidly against. So I don't know. It seems so much easier for governors to just keep stuff open or slightly more restricted than they are.
Yeah, just be like, oh, it's certainly what we've done here is, everything went from like either 50 or 75% where it was at back down to 25% or whatever, but it's still open. And I don't think it's actually keeping anyone out of these places because I don't think anyone was really full to capacity a whole lot that I could tell before that. So
yeah, it's much easier to like just yell at your constituents for not doing the right thing than it is to actually legislate them to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know in other places, like I know Michigan's closed down all their casinos and stuff, so it is happening in some other places, but I don't necessarily expect it to happen in New Jersey unless kind of public opinion turns a lot more against it, keeping things open.
I'd be shocked. I don't see it.
Yeah.
That's the COVID talk, I think. Actually, no, there's more, sorry.
Yeah.
Not COVID related. There were some resort fee changes that I don't know when they happened. I think my last update to the resort fee list was August of 2019. So a lot could have happened since then. But in the past year and 3 months or whatever that is, we've seen several increases. Golden Nugget's fee went from $20 to $22. Tropicana's fee, unsurprisingly, Tropicana now, Caesar's property, their fee went from $24.59 to $32.27. So the other Caesar's fees mathematically seem to work out to $32.21. It's unclear to me if you actually get billed $32.27 or not. Trop actually says their resort fee is 5 cents more.
Gotta make those nickels.
Yeah, than the rest of the Caesars properties. And I think if you actually have a comped room and you're not Diamond at Caesars, Harrah's, or Bally's, it comes out, you get a bill for $32.27, I think. But the math works out to $32.21. The nickel higher, then it becomes $32.27 with tax. So I'm very confused. And one thing I will say is Caesars website makes the total price of a room so incredibly complicated. Like, there's no way to add up the list of items to come up with a total. And it seems like so intentionally complicated that I find that very, like, kind of gross and frustrating. So Trop up $8 almost. Resorts fee went from $22.08 to $31.40. So they now have the same fee as Ocean. I have to say thanks to Keith S. for emailing that Trop now has that CET rate, or 6 cents more, depending. So that prompted me to update the whole list. So thank you for getting me to do something that was overdue by about a year and a half. Only 3 casinos left with resort fees under $30. Golden Nugget, $22. Hard Rock, $24.58. And the shocker, Borgata, owned by MGM Resorts, $22.31. No one send this to MGM Resorts. Nobody there listens to this podcast. We're not that popular. Their resort fee would go up by $15 tomorrow. I don't understand, but I'm happy about it.
It's been this way forever, though. I mean,
they did increase it when they first moved in. They increased it a little. It was like $15, I think.
Yeah, it was $15 for a long time. Remember when we started this podcast and it was like somewhere like $12, somewhere like $15,
yeah.
And then like like the CET has always been ridiculous, like way above everyone else. But everyone's kind of caught up to CET now, so very disappointing.
Yeah, I think CET used to be like 25 or 27. It was like $27. The room was comped.
Yeah,
and like everybody else was really low.
I think for a long time, like Golden Nugget was like 10. I think Tropicana was 12. I think Borg was 15 for a really long time. So
yeah. So what I wonder is Bally's Corp taking over Bally's, formerly Twin River Holdings, taking over Bally's. What are they going to do to the resort fee?
Hopefully lower it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems so easy just to keep it the same.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be $32.27 or whatever.
Yeah, I would hope not. It's going to be $32.21.
Whatever, man.
If anybody, so the hard part of it actually confirming that is there aren't that many people who get comped rooms at those properties that don't have Diamond, or that I know at least. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty, like we used to all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But now we've, jimmied our way up to Diamond.
Indeed.
I used it so much this year, thankfully.
Yeah.
With the extended year that we've gotten.
So good.
All right. That's the resort fees. Our most popular page on the website by far.
Certainly. No one's going to watch your, Canadian anti-gambling condom commercial or whatever
From
that
like
you
5
posted
years
in
before you had the podcast.
2012.
Yeah. No, they're not, unfortunately.
Oh, they should be. It was good.
Was it? Sometimes I look at our original posts, I'm like, oh, so bad. So bad. Not as bad as our first episode.
No, nothing could be that bad.
But pretty bad.
Oh yeah, episode 138 can be that bad. Anyway, live entertainment is coming back to Atlantic City just in time for coronavirus, I guess.
Hey, we don't talk about that here.
So Hard Rock has Motor City Live, a Motown Christmas, running the weekends of December 12th and 19th with shows Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that's twice on Saturdays. From an article by Wayne Perry, tickets are going to be sold as individual tables of 2 or 4 seats to ensure social distancing. There's live music at some casino bars, mostly on Friday and Saturday nights, including at the Hard Rock Lobby Bar, Wild West Stage, Bar 1 at Resorts, and Tropicana has comedy shows going 7 nights a week at Kiss Kiss Nightclub, which is hard to believe given the number of people that are apparently in Atlantic City right now.
Especially on weekdays. I can't imagine.
Yeah. 7 nights a week. That seems tough in a month of December.
Like on a Tuesday night.
With coronavirus.
Comedians. Are they up there to literally no one?
I mean, it has to be 3 people, right?
I would think. I mean, I don't know how stand-up comedy works. Like, it may be something where, like, you just want to get up there, get in some practice, and it doesn't matter if there are two people in the audience, but it's gotta suck.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on where you are in your career, probably. Yeah, I think for a newer person, it'd be maybe not the worst thing, but yeah, certainly if you're, like, doing this to, like, actually make money and you're in that point of your career, then it's probably not the best.
Yeah. So one thing I learned is that Kiss Kiss, when they do comedy shows, they call it AC Jokes. AC Jokes.
The worst name I've ever heard.
Boy. Yeah, so I'll link to that Wayne Perry article. But interesting that there's some live music and live entertainment coming back. I mean, one thing that Joe Lupo from Hard Rock said in the article is that basically, you know, they've got all these big venues, and if they're not bringing in headline entertainment, they can have 10% of the capacity. I think he even said 10%, and it's like totally safe. And so there's like a lot of demand for this among their clientele, and so they're gonna, you know, have these Motown shows.
It makes sense from their perspective, I understand, and frankly, it seems safer to me than eating because you can at least have your mask on the whole time. So
yeah, good point. So the other thing, Gallagher's and Gallagher's Burger Bar at resorts. There's just no segues at any point in the show, by the way. Gallagher's and Gallagher's Burger Bar are closing at resorts. They're closing. My favorite place, Gallagher's Burger Bar. No, I went once. It was okay. They're going to be replaced by a new concept. Everything's a concept. Nothing's just a restaurant. From the owners of Knife and Fork and Docks. That's going to be opening in the spring. How excited are you about a new Knife and Fork and Docks restaurant?
It sounds pretty good, right?
It does. So
yeah, I'm in.
There's a David Danzis article from the Press of AC, although it seems like it's mostly just snippets of a press release, which is fine. It seems like it's going to be a classic steakhouse, also a raw bar. Sounds a lot like Docks and Knife and Fork. But also hosts live entertainment. So the interesting thing to me is the setup up there, if you've been up there, is that Gallagher's Steakhouse is on one side of the walkway upstairs, and then Gallagher's Burger Bar is on the other side. And I think you need that walkway there. Like, I don't think you can just cordon it off where it's all part of one big restaurant. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll sort of have the Burger Bar as like the bar area and live music, and then the Steakhouse is like the steakhouse and raw bar.
I think it's doable.
But I like it. I mean, I like this for resorts. You know, they've already got Capriccio, which is like a highly regarded Italian place. I ate there once. It was very good. And they have a highly regarded brunch. And so that's sort of like a place that's unique to AC. And then this is going to be another place that's like a very AC, like can't go to the Knife and Fork, whatever place in New York City, can't go to Chicago. It's going to be like very specific to AC, and that's cool. So there's one thing I found interesting in the article. And the press release didn't mention Harry's at all, which, you know, Harry's is also at least started and I believe still owned by the Doherty family. So I don't know if this means anything for Harry's. I would think not. I don't know what
I assume not.
Bally's, the move to the sale of Bally's means for Harry's, although hopefully nothing.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I mean, all those leases seems to just carry over.
I mean, as far as I can tell, I mean, at least last few times I've been there, Harry's has always seemed very popular. I don't know why they would do anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, especially I think with outdoor dining, you know, they've got a good amount of outdoor space.
Yeah, they have a huge amount of outdoor space there.
So it seems like they're a good bet for that. I know if you go and watch the Tiffany Gamble videos, she's gone there at least once. I think maybe more than once in her videos. So it seemed like a good setup for outdoor dining. So another plug for Harry's, although not Harris, although we've seen the service.
Another plug from Harris. Yeah.
Harris, my favorite. Still haven't been back since they took my $25.
We should go back. We should
go back to AC, probably.
Yeah, probably. When do you think we're going to be back? Presumably after, I mean, you're not going to go until you get vaccinated, right?
I don't know if I have to wait that long.
We should be like 6 months away, right? Probably.
Maybe less. I mean, it seems like it's moving really fast.
I mean, it seems like people are going to start in like a week or two.
Yeah.
I mean, not us, but
no,
you know,
frontline workers.
Frontline medical workers and people who live in nursing homes.
I was thinking about that. I mean, how far to the front of the line should blackjack dealers and craps dealers be? Should they be second behind frontline workers or ahead of frontline workers?
No.
I think you're right. I think it's actually like bartenders and waitstaff. One. If I've learned about how they prioritize stuff, teachers will be like last. They're going to open schools. They're going to open schools in like fall of 2021.
I do have to say it's deeply upsetting, and believe me, I've deleted a lot of post trying to make this point in our group. But yeah, the priorities aren't necessarily always in the order they should be. Certainly, first priority should definitely be to open at least elementary, probably middle school up everywhere.
As someone with an elementary school age kid, couldn't agree more.
I do not have an elementary school kid, but really, I don't think there's a lot of scientific evidence that says that they should be closed at all, other than the teachers' unions having a lot of power, which, I mean, that's fine, but...
Yeah, I mean, not to get too far into it, which we've already done. The reason we were remote last week was because it wasn't that students were getting it. Like, it wasn't that my kid had to quarantine, which she did. It was that all these teachers and staff had to quarantine and they couldn't get replacements. And I don't know if that's a teachers union issue or not, but that's too far into this. Speaking of politics.
Yeah. So Politico came out with an article about Atlantic City during COVID called City Without a Pulse. So I sent it over to you. Anytime there's a, I guess, somewhat major national story about Atlantic City, I'm always kind of, my ears perk up. It's mostly about the unemployment levels, and talks about how bad tourism's obviously been hurt by COVID, and has a lot of I think very good pictures of the city, or kind of the ruins of the city, or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's probably making a larger political point that Atlantic City is a good way to show, I think, showing how a certain part of the populace has been much more deeply affected than the rest of it. But I don't know. I thought it was an interesting article, and I thought it had nice pictures. So, any thoughts? Yeah,
I mean, it was a little weird that Atlantic City was the focus. I mean, because it definitely tried to sort of make the point of, like, this has affected hourly wage people much more than it's affected.
Which it has.
People, which is definitely true. But then there was also sort of this air, maybe I'm just scarred by, like, years of national coverage of Atlantic City, but there was definitely this air in the article of, like, Atlantic City's this, like, dilapidated shit.
Oh, yeah. Which is what all national coverage of Atlantic City is, right?
In some ways, there was stuff that was, not to the extent of, like, Sandy destroyed Atlantic City and then going and showing a part of the boardwalk that was going to be demolished anyway. But, there were a lot of pictures of, like, the playground and of Trump Plaza that were, like, in the state they're in. Like, the playground being empty has nothing to do with COVID.
Right. Right? They did kind of try to lead you to believe that it was COVID's fault, and it certainly is not.
Yeah, at some point there's a picture that talks about, like, a mall that is, empty.
But it's supposed to be a year-round attraction, but now it's empty because of COVID or whatever. And it's like, well...
And then there's a picture of Revel with the big empty lot next to Revel where there's just the one house there, and it's like, once populated with residences, few homes remain in a lot near a giant casino building along the boardwalk. And it's like, that's a CRDA
issue. That's a CRDA.
This has nothing to do with, like, nobody wants to develop this.
Well, and something else with that, like, certainly you hear a lot of other people who are just Atlantic City politics haters, which, there's a lot of reasons to correctly be that, but who kind of blame them for all that stuff. And it's like, well, no, this is a state thing. Like, you need to talk to really the state of New Jersey and, like, the casino execs and everyone else that runs the CRDA. Like, this really doesn't have a whole lot to do with Atlantic City. Yeah,
so I feel like there could have been, like, a longer, deeper article there that probably the Politico has no interest in writing because it's a national publication. Something with more of a local focus, I think, could have done it more justice. But obviously, I'm, like, super biased on that and want that because I run an Atlantic City podcast. So
yeah. Need to get Route 40 out there.
We do.
Write something up for us. I mean, I hear that we have a journalism major on the podcast.
That seems unfamiliar. I was told anyone with a journalism degree is an enemy of the country or whatever, so I lay low on that.
Well, I mean, you are, but that's not because of your journalism degree.
No.
All right. So you want to talk about some data?
Yeah, why not? The data's always good. I mean, the data's sometimes very bad, but...
Yeah, like Q2. Was the data good then?
Yeah, Q2 zeros across the board. Banner quarter for Atlantic City. So what happened in October?
I don't know. Things were down a little bit, but I think compared to September, I mean, it shows Atlantic City continuing to come back some. I don't know. What stood out to you?
So a few things. A lot of things that we've sort of already talked about. Ocean up 36.6% year over year.
Same as always.
Hard Rock was up 17.7%. Everyone else was down. So it's, the 1, 2, 3, Borgata, 41.2 million, Hard Rock, 28.8, Ocean, 25.2. Those all seem pretty good for an October regardless. Like, they don't seem all that bad. I mean, Borgata is actually one of the biggest year over year decreases. They were minus 20%. Harris was also minus 20% and Golden Nugget was minus 28%. And we've talked about Golden Nugget struggles, but not a whole lot really jumped out at me about this. I mean, it seems like it's pretty much on par with what we saw in September for a lot of the casinos. I mean, like Golden Nugget, yeah, it's really bad, but it's like very similar percentage wise year over year to what they had in September. It's half as bad as it was in August for them when they were down 55% and had like $9.5 million or whatever they had in August. It was something atrocious. $9.2 million. So like, I saw 10.5 for Golden Nugget. I was like, oh, this is atrocious. This is so bad. Like scream emoji, terrible. And then I looked at August and I was like, oh no, this is 10.5. It's, it's way better for them than August was.
Man.
I mean, down 8%. I guess last month, year over year, was down 15%, so 8% is better than that.
Like you said, it's everything. It's continuing all of the trends that were there before. I don't think there's anything a whole lot new to talk about. So, yeah. Of course, Hard Rock Ocean keep going up. Golden Nugget continues to be a dumpster fire. Bally's and resorts are also doing quite poorly. So is Borg, frankly. But also, it should be noted, it was a 5-weekend month, so there's that too. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in November. I mean, it's December now that we're recording, so We'll get those results in not too long. By the next time we record, hopefully.
The casinos reopened at the very start of July. They were down 46%, 46.8% brick and mortar from July of 2019. August, they were down 30.5%. September, they were down 15%. Now they're down 8%. So they're kind of like cutting pretty big into that deficit, like getting closer and closer to where they were before. 8%, it really seems almost shockingly close. So the question is, now we've had this big spike in COVID. We've had more restrictions on the dining. Can't sit at a bar anymore. Stuff has to close at 10. So like, is that going to stunt this recovery, or do you think people are just, over it and they're going to come back anyway?
I don't know. I think there has been like some change in behavior in the last, let's say 2 to 4 weeks when as COVID's really spiked. I think people have actually started to go back to being a little bit less, go out of slightly less often, etc. I mean, everything I've been reading about Thanksgiving is it was not nearly as bad as people thought it was going to necessarily be, though I don't know if the media has necessarily been portraying that correctly. So I think there could be a little bit of a pullback, but certainly there are people who are just completely over it and just going out and living their lives, and that'll happen too. I think there's going to be a small pullback though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised about that. I don't think we're going to see, 4% or something decrease next year, next month, or like, even from what December 2019 was. That would be insane. So yeah, I think we'll see a slight decrease. And also, they're almost certainly going to lose their ability to pack the house on New Year's Eve. So that'll play into it. But the online revenue, like, more than made up the difference. Although, there's certainly the argument of would the online revenue have been there even if the casinos were fully open, in which case it's not a great apples to apples comparison, but it was a 14.2% increase overall. So if you take everything, including brick and mortar and online, online revenue was up 106% year over year, which is insane. And sports betting was an all-time record yet again. I think this is the second or third month in a row that they've broken the all-time record for amount wagered in a month in any state on sports betting, with $803 million. That's the amount wagered, not the take. $24.56 million of revenue just for Atlantic City casinos actually brought in. So, I mean, they're making up for it in other places. It seems like they're surprisingly not just bleeding cash through all this, which is good. But I think we can talk more about that when we talk more about the quarterly profit data next episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next episode. So anyway, I think that's about it. So if you want to reach out to us or any of our other listeners, you can do so at our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/doforwin. Find all of our great content and buy a shirt at doforwin.com. Reach out to Craig on Twitter at doforwin or me at Kyle Askin, and send Craig some questions to doforwin@gmail.com. Any last thoughts, Craig?
I just like how I listened to the Better Life episode and thought like, oh, Kyle, he should really talk more. And then I just steamrolled right over you this entire episode.
No. I think it's good.
Back on par.
Let me tell you, I don't think this was one of my finer performances. So I think you did the right thing.
You just talked yourself out. You were on a different show.
I was.
You just spent.
I was. Some of us don't have the stamina of other people, and it takes a while to recharge. So,
well, the jokes write themselves. And let's move along to Boardwalk Empire. So what happened in Boardwalk Empire? Tell me all the plot. Much briefer than last time.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that a decision was made to off Nucky, much to Jimmy's apparent chagrin. Jimmy was trying to explain how, we're going to make sure Nucky goes to jail, and then we're going to do all this stuff, and all of Al Capone and Lucky and Meyer Lansky and all them were like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't we just killing this guy? Like, that's just a much easier solution, which I think they're totally right on. But I think a lot of the episode was kind of about that back and forth, and Jimmy's kind of inner fight about whether or not that's a good idea or a bad idea. The other main part of the episode was Margaret goes to Brooklyn to see her. So I don't fully, was it her brother? And I know the two little girls were her sisters. Like, who was it? Her uncle or her brother? That
it seems like it was her brother and her either three sisters or her brother's wife and two sisters.
I think brother's wife and two sisters, certainly. Yeah. Anyway, she meets them and gets to talk about, like, we get to find out a bit more about Margaret and her past. And then she goes back to Atlantic City, and, right after Nucky gets shot, unbeknownst to her, she decides to sleep with our good friend, Owen. So. Yeah,
I mean, you didn't even mention Nucky getting shot.
Yeah, Nucky got shot. Got shot.
Right through the hand, and then a federal agent pops out and shoots the shooter before he can actually finish the job. And
poor Al loses another henchman.
And Jimmy hears someone yell something about Nucky, how he's going to be alive, and the look on his face is just like, oh, I'm so screwed. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Kind of shocking for like a mid-season episode. There was the very shocking murder. Speaking of shocking, not a shocking murder because there was definitely going to be a murder. There's a murder every episode. But, really Owen throwing his hat in the ring for one of the most brutal murders of the show so far, where he strangled a dude.
Yeah, we don't even know the full backstory. It seems like this is probably the real reason he was in Atlantic City, though. So I don't know what's going to come of him necessarily.
And then the other story, Van Elden failing to pay Lucy for carrying his baby for 9 months. And then Lucy going to Nucky and basically like spilling all the beans, and Nucky trying to use that to get Van Elden to track the U.S. attorney who's on Nucky's case. It's unclear if he's actually going to do that or not.
Does not work, I think. It seems like Van Elden kind of steals himself and is trying to do the right thing.
Either that or he's getting in her good graces to be a part of the investigation and report back to Nucky and get paid.
Maybe. We'll see.
That would seem out of character for Van Elden, although he's done a lot of things that are out of character.
My belief at the moment is that he's trying to do the right thing, but who knows? It's Van Elden. He's a strange guy.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think my main two thoughts on the episode were that first, kind of my favorite part of the episode is when Lucy walks into Nucky's office with the baby, and Nucky is like, "We have not been together since May 24th."
Yes, he had an exact date.
Yes, it was wonderful. For me, I think by far the best character in the show, and it's becoming more and more clear to me, is Margaret. Like, she's kind of, in a lot of ways, like the only really interesting character. Like, I think everyone else is kind of a bit one note. I mean, Van Elden, I think, is becoming a bit more of an interesting character too, now that his life is falling apart a little bit. But, certainly everyone on Jimmy's side, I don't think is terribly interesting. But Margaret's really been very interesting, and it's been good to learn more about her.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's been setting up for a long time, where it's sort of like almost the Margaret show.
Yeah.
In terms of like her clearly having a more interesting backstory than they've been letting on, and we're starting to see that a little bit. And then now it's like hints that she's not super satisfied in this relationship that she's in, that she's obviously, benefiting from. So interesting stuff on that front. And I agree. Like, the characters like surrounding Jimmy are like such caricatures that I don't find Al or Lucky to be all that interesting as characters in the show.
Of course not. Or even Eli,
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Eli is chief among them in terms of just being kind of
or like even Jimmy, frankly, is not really an interesting character, even though he's presumably the main character of the show. Yeah,
I feel like we're going to get deeper into Jimmy, although I feel like the attempts at that have centered around other people, like the Commodore and like his mom. The mom seemed like it was going to get deeper, and now it just seems
it's just like weird every time.
It's like super weird, and like she obviously is just like
trying to control him, and I don't know.
Yeah, and like just like burn it all down as long as I get like close to power. But I mean, it was still like I thought this was one of the better episodes of the last few in terms of plot development.
It was good to meet Margaret's family. I think it pushed her character ahead. Was interesting. So
I will say the no face guy is also very good.
Oh yeah. I mean, we need to learn more about him probably, but
I liked that he still has the dog fang bites on his face mask. I did notice that in this episode. But I think that's everything for this episode. We're over a third of the way through.
Yeah, we're doing it.
19 out of 56. I think 56 episodes.
I'd like to thank all of you all for I always say, taking time out of your day to listen to us. I know it's harder to listen to podcasts these days, so it means a lot. And I guess we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Hopefully.
Listen
to The Other Side of Midnight tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Definitely after this episode is posted, but probably not.
It's online, right?
It will be online.
You can listen to it after the fact. Yeah. All right. Well, have a good one.
My headphones don't have the ideal cord for really any setup. I don't know how to handle that. Other than to just not handle it. Fix it in post.
That's right. Fix your cord situation in post.
All right. Are we doing this? Oh boy, it's rubbing against my zipper. It's terrible.
Never have you sounded so disappointed to say that.
Cancel the show, yeah. Oh no. I hate it when this happens.
This happens to me all the time. Oh boy.
Well, we have some post-show now. That's a little too racy for the pre-show.
Yeah, I gotta save that for the true fans.